In healthcare, there's often too much information and not enough time. Here at the Melanin Initiative, we avoid TMI by breaking things down into language you can understand. We create a safe space for you to ask your questions and share our nursing perspective without taking up too much of your time. Today's a unique episode. We're going to be talking about weight loss from your very own co-host right here. At the time that you're watching this, we're filming this in October 2024, but you're going to be watching this in the spring of 2025. So we'll talk about our before and afters, what our thought process is today, and then, of course, how the last few months have been since we recorded the beginning of the episode. If you're new here, welcome to the Melanin Initiative. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, and I'm so happy to be joined by Geraldine and Alisha, my co-host here. We're a health literacy podcast offering our nursing perspective. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it to manage your health and advocate for others. It's our hope that by watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, or listening to any of your favorite podcast apps, that you'll be empowered to ask questions, educated on how you can navigate the system, and empowered to advocate for yourself and others. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe, leave a comment or two in the description below. It lets the algorithm know that this information is important so that when people like you look for information like this, we show up higher in the search results. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are opinions alone. They are not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you think you might be having a medical emergency, you should seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you can call 911. And if you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Ladies, hi.
Hello.
How's everyone?
Pretty
Doing
good.
good today. Yeah.
So this is such a special episode. I think last time we were filming together, we were just casually talking like we do. And it came up that I think maybe Alisha started the conversation, and she had shared with us that she was embarking on a new weight loss journey. And then Geraldine chimed in and said, me too. And I love the opportunity to share that publicly. And so they've been so kind and generous enough to do just that. We know weight loss is no one's immune to the challenges of it, right? And it's we all have challenges and struggles, right? And some of those challenges and struggles we can hide. No one will ever know. But when it comes to our physical appearance and our weight in particular, you can't hide it. And it can be even that much more of an emotional burden when you're in the healthcare space telling other people what they should do and how to live. Mm-hmm. And so it's really, they didn't have to share, and they certainly did not have to agree to this, but they have been so kind to do that. And so we hope that by doing that we just inspire you, shed some light, and let you know that we're just like you. You know, we're all human. And so we're filming this now, and then maybe in 6 months, we'll come back and we'll do an after, and it'll just be all one episode at that time. So it'll be a little less structured and hopefully a little more fun of a conversation. So let's just start with Alisha. And if you want to just let the audience know what it is that you're doing.
Yes. So early August of 2024, so a few months ago, I switched primary care providers because the one that I was going to is a little further away than I liked. So I wanted to find one that was a little more local. So I went to my primary care provider, and I kind of already knew my ailments. So I was expressing them to her. Just for a little background, I don't mind sharing. I do have pre-diabetes and I have high cholesterol. So I was explaining to her, you know, here I am in my journey. And then she asked me if I would be interested in starting a weight loss medication. And I was like, sure. Which one? What are the details? And she was like, well, you know, I would offer you Wegovy. And it's an injection that you give yourself once a week. And it's an appetite suppressant. So the whole point of it is to not make, you know, get rid of that craving of wanting to eat all the time. And I was a little hesitant because, like in the media, we're hearing a lot about Ozempic and potential side effects and pancreatitis and all the things that people are saying, all the negative things people are saying about these kind of medications. So I was very hesitant. So my first question for her was, out of your patients that you've prescribed this to, like, has anybody had side effects? And she said, she's been prescribing this medication for 20 years. So that was the first myth that she dispelled for me. It's not as new as, I would say as a healthcare provider, and, Kimberly, Matt, and Geraldine can probably jump in. We don't really talk about this a lot in like nursing school and in our formal training. So weight loss medicine wasn't something that like I was well versed in. So that's step one. But step two, she was like, I've been prescribing this for 20 years and I've only ever had one patient tell me they had a side effect, and that person was older and they also had other things going on. So I can't really say if it was the Wegovy or if it was something else, but because we couldn't rule it out, we just kind of said it could be the Wegovy. She was like, but everyone else I prescribed this to had the intended side effects and there was no issue. So I was like, okay. I was also kind of iffy about the thought of giving myself injections, but I was like, I'm a nurse. I can do it. So we embarked on that journey, and here I am.
And so where would you say that your actual weight loss journey began?
Honestly, I wasn't, I always want to lose weight. I've noticed my weight increased significantly after college. So got that first nursing job, started working those night shifts, and my weight
that you hated.
Me too.
Not like, but the truth of the matter is that's when my weight, like flip-flopping those days and those nights, that's when my weight, increased from what I was used to seeing myself look like. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say that I was actively doing anything to change that. Prior to that, I was a dancer. I lived my life. I was active. I wasn't really worried about what I was eating. So like the eating piece of it didn't matter as much because I was so active. But the problem was got my big girl job. I wasn't as active and I wasn't paying attention to what I was eating because I never had. So I was never really focused on weight loss up until recently, I'd say about the last 2 years or so, as I started to get these health conditions, becoming pre-diabetic, getting high cholesterol. I was like, oh, this is not a game anymore. Like I probably need to start paying attention to something. But, when you that you need to be doing something, but then it's very different in your day-to-day to actually get it done. When I'm going to work and I'm coming home and I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to cook. I'm going to eat out. I don't want to go to the gym. One, I don't like the gym. That's step one. And two,
or hiking.
I love hiking. We got to get her on board with the hiking.
But I do like fitness. I like dancing. I like walking. I don't like hiking, but I like walking. Okay. But at that point in time, I didn't find a fitness journey that aligned with me. Going to the gym and getting on a treadmill, going up, doing the Stairmaster, that's not going to be me. It won't be me. It's not me. It's never been me. So just trying to find a way to get active in this new space in my life has been the journey so far right now. And I'm still working on that. In fact, it's what me and my therapist focus on is we identified I have a block somewhere between my physical journey. So we're trying to dispel like what is it about this journey that has you on pause? So we're trying to work through that a little bit. And we've identified perhaps that I need to move my body in ways that I enjoy, which I'm now actively looking for dance classes. So that actually gets me excited. Like I would actually go do that but I'm not going to the gym. So.
And has your weight impacted any other areas of your life? You're a young lady who's not married, doesn't have children. Have you thought about that at all?
Not really. I think the part that it has affected is my confidence. So therefore, I'm not out there like I used to be. I'm not out in the town. I'd rather be in the house. I think there's a few reasons for that, but I'd say overall it just has affected my self-confidence. So perhaps I'm not out there looking for Mr. Right just yet.
Okay. And what about you, Geraldine? Where did your weight loss journey begin?
So my weight loss journey, I'm sorry, my neighbor's dog is barking. But my weight loss journey, so I've always been pretty like active, even in college. Like I would go to the gym, like not super heavy, but I always kind of remained active. I would walk a lot. Even when I was living in Miami at my parents' house, we live near a university that I was able to like kind of jog around. So that was kind of a thing that I used to do growing up, my brother and I. So I was always into running, exercising, not heavy, but I was always active. And I would also do dance when I was in college and in high school. So I feel like for me, when it really began, or when I really like said, okay, I need to get on top of this, was when I moved here. Same with when I moved to the DMV, and that is actually when I started working night shifts as well. And that's when I noticed, well, I was flip flopping. I was, we all worked at the same institution, and we worked night shifts. And I think that's when I saw a significant increase in my weight. And that was also at the same time when I was starting grad school. So with combination of working night shifts, being in grad school, there's no time. Like the time that I do have, I'm studying. And then the same thing, diet was horrible. At 3 a.m., I would crave chips and burgers. I would crave the worst foods when working the night shifts. I don't know, like it just without the, yeah. So I think that definitely contributed to my weight gain, not having the energy or the time really to be as active as I wanted to be. Also, some other things that affected me not being able to be as active as I wanted to be is that the older I got, the more musculoskeletal issues I ran into, hip pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, the older I got, which also affected me being able to jog like I would normally jog, or, work out like I would normally work out. And then my journey has kind of been ongoing, to be honest. I've actually, even when I was at my ideal weight, I was also still pre-diabetic. So I am also pre-diabetic. However, my number was like on the lower end of the pre-diabetic. Like it was like right at the beginning of pre-diabetes. And I've been pre-diabetic probably for 8 or 9 years. Mm-hmm. However, over the recent years, that number has creeped up. Now I'm closer to the crossing over to the diabetes range. And that kind of is what scared me and kind of like put some fire under me to like, okay, like you need to get serious about losing this weight. You need to get serious about just changing your lifestyle, basically. So exercise has never really been that much of an issue for me, as long as I have like the time to do it. I'm typically motivated to work out. However, diet is like the main thing, I would say, especially when there's no time working those long shifts. You don't feel like cooking when you get home. So you go with whatever's the most easiest, most convenient, and it's not always the healthiest option. So, over the last couple of years, I've been trying to, I would say like about 2-3 years, I've been trying to like really be on it and work out a little bit more consistently and change my eating habits. But I'm noticing that not much change has come about with my weight. I've actually gained weight. So that was a little frustrating. So that's what prompted me to go on the semaglutide injection. So my journey is a little different. So I've been seeing my primary care doctor for the last couple of years. However, it didn't dawn on me to ask about it at my primary care visit that I had earlier this year. And I think a part of me was afraid that they would say like that she would say no, like, oh, you don't that you don't qualify. And I've been talking to one of my coworkers actually, who used to work. She doesn't work in a weight management clinic now, but she used to work in a weight management clinic. So I was like doing a lot of conversing with her and just getting some information about it. And she was also dispelling myths for me. And I trust her because she is also she's a nurse practitioner. So she was just dispelling myths. She was telling me like, not everyone has those side effects, because that was one of the same things I was worried about too, like pancreatitis, because that's what I would hear. So I was just afraid to get on it. So what I did, I went a different route. So I went through a company because my insurance wouldn't cover it. So when I was talking to my colleague, she had me go on like on my insurance's website And then that was one of the meds that they would not cover for weight loss. They would only cover it if I was diabetic, which I'm not technically diabetic. And out of pocket for the, name brand, it would be super expensive. So I went through a different company that I was able to get it at a cheaper rate, still pricey, but better than paying out of pocket for the name brand. Works just as well. So I recently started. I've only been on it for a month. So I'm just waiting to see.
Okay, so you went through a company like online?
Mm-hmm. And they have nurse practitioners and physicians too that I chat with. So it's kind of like telemedicine, basically.
You said you just gave yourself your 4th injection.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
So that was another thing. Like Alisha, I was like, I don't want to inject myself. Although I deal with needles all day. Like in my current practice, I'm injecting people, not with this, of course, but just using needles. But I just hate the thought of having to poke myself. I do it because I paid for it and I just have to. I have to do it. So I just suck it up and I just do it, but I don't like it. Like having to inject myself, but I'm getting used to it though.
And do you pay monthly?
Yeah. They had that option, but I just paid flat out.
Oh, okay, big money. And so that
was actually by accident, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't read the fine print, so that was my mistake, and then I couldn't go back on it, so I was like, whatever.
Okay, and they ship you the syringes?
Yeah, they ship everything that you need. So the medication gets shipped to you. They shipped me a 6-month supply, and it stays refrigerated. They sent me the alcohol swabs and the insulin. It's insulin needles that are used. So it's a multi-use vials. I don't know what the Wegovy is. Is it a pen?
It's a pre-filled syringe, so I don't have to.
You don't have to draw anything up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the downside. Like for me, I have to it doesn't affect me because I'm used to drawing things up. But I would say for like the average person, that's something that might be a learning curve for them. But yeah, I do have to. It's a multi-use vial, so I do have to draw up the amount that I need for that week, inject, and then put the vial back in the refrigerator.
Yeah, and also access, right? Somebody has like arthritis or something.
Yeah,
where they just can't use that hand. And what about you, Alisha? Are yours being covered by insurance?
It is. So I would say I probably have good insurance, but it's all. I don't pay anything for the Wegovy. It was going to be a $25 fee. I guess you could say copay free, whatever. However, my doctor, I low key feel like because my doctor specifically asked me if I would like to go on Wegovy and not any other of these medications. I think that she has a relationship with the company, just being honest with you. So she had a coupon. So it was for $25. So that coupon covers the copay I would have had. So I'd literally pay $0 out of pocket.
And it's true, yeah, she might have a relationship because reps go by different clinics and they drop off because they want people to use their medicine.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And they give out samples, they give out coupons because if you start coming back and say, we like this, then that prescriber is going to be like, hey, we want this. And then it helps the company.
Exactly. So yeah. I figured that's what
she might have ran out of the other one. She probably had coupons for everyone.
Right.
She ran out. Okay. So what symptoms have you been experiencing?
So for me, I had GI issues prior to starting Wegovy. And in fact, when I talked to my primary care provider about it, and that's one of the known side effects of the medication. So when my primary care provider told me about it, she was like, hey, if you start to experience these symptoms such as diarrhea, constipation, and they become worse, let me know because we may need to stop it. Because I've already had those issues to begin with. So I will say, I think for me, that's one thing to monitor. It's hard for me to tell if it's gotten better or worse because it's always there. You know what I mean? So it hasn't changed, but I don't think it's gotten worse. I've also noticed some fatigue, but I noticed it. So the injections are weekly, like I mentioned. So I take mine every Sunday. So I would say Monday and Tuesday, I do kind of feel sluggish. But then as the week goes on, I feel better. To that point, though, I also take hormonal birth control. So sometimes I think my tiredness could be related to where I am in my hormone cycle with the pills. So I think, a lot of factors. contribute to my tiredness. But I will say, I do think that a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of GI upset. And I also noticed a little bit more belching than I had previously. Outside of that, I feel great. Hi, I'm Alisha from the Melanin Initiative podcast. Our mission is twofold. One, to simplify complex health information so you feel empowered to ask questions, educated on how to manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. And two, to elevate the expertise of nurses, spotlight the diverse career opportunities within the healthcare industry, and inform our peers how to leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. In less than 2 years, we've grown to over 50,000 views and 1,000 downloads, with an international audience spanning the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and more. Our engaged listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs aged 25 to 44 who value authentic, impactful content. Want to connect with this dynamic audience? Advertise with us. Send in your 1-minute video ad and let's amplify your brand. Email tmi.melanin@gmail.com for rates and details. Let's work together.
Do they send you a bunch, like a 6-month supply too?
No. So I get mine through CVS. So it's through
shout out to CVS. We love CVS.
Yes. I get a 4-pack. So for me, every 4 syringes or once a month, my dose will increase. So the first dose I was on 0.25. So I had 4 syringes of 0.25. I'm currently on my 0.5 milligram syringes. And then I'm on this Sunday with my 3rd of that syringe. So it's been about 7 weeks that I've been on this medication. And then I already have the pack for my 1 milligram. For Wegovy, it goes up to 2.4. So that 2.4 is as high as you can go. And that'll be the maintenance dose of what they call it. But so it increases for me once a month. Or anybody.
Yeah. Same for me. Because I'm using like the compounded semaglutide, it's slightly different, but it's pretty similar. But I am drawing up my own and I follow a plan with the doctors. And it tells me first 4 weeks you're using this amount, like I forgot the dosage, but then I'm doubling my dose at the second 4 months. So I just have to be mindful once again, because I am drawing it up myself, to just be mindful that I'm administering the correct dose.
Mindful and very demure.
Yeah. Very mindful, very demure. Yeah. Like
that's the thing. I mean, I have the pre-filled syringes and it's very simple. I just take the top off. Boop.
Yeah, I like that. I actually like that.
You have to hold it for 7 seconds and then you just let it go. Done.
Yeah, I like that a little bit better because you don't have to think about like how much you're drying up. But
yeah.
And you mentioned compounded. So for our audience who's not familiar with that, would you like to give a little explanation?
So when I did my like little research, my deep dive research and talking to my colleagues, so the name brand ones like the Wegovy, it's like just semaglutide. The compounded, the meaning behind compounded semaglutide is that they just add like something to it, like a vitamin or something like that, because that's the only way that it'll be considered a different product, or else these companies will be suing each other for copyright. So that's pretty much all that it is. They just add a little something to it. It's similar to like, I actually work in like the cosmetic world, administering like Botox, and it's similar. There's like different brands of Botox and they all contain the same active ingredient. There's just some extra protein in it that makes it different. So it's the same thing.
Kind of like body wash.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so how long will you stay on these medications?
Ideally for me, a year is the plan that I have. And when I was talking to my colleague, she said, ideally, that's how long you do need to be on it. Because I would hear different things. Like I had another friend of mine who did it for like 6 months or something like that, very short term. And she told me she felt that she should have eased her way into it because she lost weight too fast, which is not healthy. I think the reason she stopped it is because she was having fatty stools, like in her bowel movement, there was fat in her stool, which is another red flag or a reason to like either stop or scale back, or obviously talk to your doctor about it.
Or your nurse practitioner.
Or your nurse practitioner.
Alisha?
Same for me. Yeah, same for me. About a year. For me, though, my goal is to use the medication as a catalyst to help lifestyle change. So
Yes.
that, because, we always hear that when you stop these medications, you gain the weight back. I think
Mhm.
that's because when you're on the medication, I think whether you are doing what you're supposed to or not, you're going to lose some weight. So I think when people stop it, they end up gaining the weight back because they never made any lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
So the whole point for me is to give myself this year to actually, because it takes a while to actually have to create a lifestyle change and to sustain it and to make it become a part of your life. So it gives me a year to lose weight while also creating those and maintaining, which is the key, the lifestyle changes, so that when I stop the medication, I don't gain everything back, because that would be the devastating part for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the another thing I didn't talk about side effects. My side effects are also similar. The GI. Prior to starting, I used to have I would have nausea occasionally, so I still have that. I did talk to one of the providers, and it was a nurse practitioner. One of them was a doctor, but another was a nurse practitioner, and she ended up prescribing me some nausea medication just so I can have on hand in case, especially when I was first starting out with the medication with the semaglutide. Another thing that I one day ate fried chicken, and I probably shouldn't have eaten fried chicken, and it made me feel so sick that I don't want fried chicken ever again. So I think it's also working to kind of like help your body, like retrain your mind and your body to not want those foods that are not healthy for you. So I agree with Alisha. I'm also of the mindset that my hope is that it'll change my mindset about diet and the foods that I choose to eat.
If I could piggyback off of you real quick, Geraldine, I think it's another side effect. I think we often think of side effects as negative things, but a positive side effect of the medication for some people, because there's a part where we hear about the depression, the suicide that comes with these medications, but there's also evidence that shows that these medications do the opposite. They help with suicide, or not help with suicide, but they help with like depression and negative thoughts. So I will say, for me, I feel like I've had the second, which is it's helped. I think I was probably battling a little bit of depression, and just, because it wasn't, it wasn't, I don't have a diagnosis of depression, but I think we all kind of have some underlying depression sometimes. So, I definitely feel more positive, and like you were saying, Geraldine, sometimes I look at certain foods and I'm like, like it does make me nauseous a little bit. And I'm not like a naturally nauseous person. Or I'll be eating something and I'm like, that's my last bite. Like I literally can't eat anymore,
Same.
Before, I thought like for instance, last night for dinner, I ordered a steak and cheese. I was like, I'm gonna eat a steak and cheese tonight. And it had fries. I ate half of it in like 3 fries. And people are like, what? I'm like, I know. Like before I would have ate that whole 8-inch sub, every single fry, and look for dessert. But it really does, like, I was astonished when I first started eating. Like I was like, wow, like it
I'm
really
already
did
full.
change my mind.
Mhm.
Like I really cannot eat another bite. And if I try, I do feel sick. So it's like it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Alisha shared some lifestyle changes that she's thinking of making, like finding a dance class. What about you, Geraldine?
So I actually, like I said, I'm always into working out anyway. I think my problem is more diet. But recently I have I signed up for Orange Theory membership. So I started out with them by just doing, initially I just did like class packs, because they have like class pack options. So I just kind of go whenever I want. And then I was like, let me just do a membership. I feel like if I do a membership and I'm paying for it, I feel like I'm a little bit more motivated, because I don't want to waste my money. So that does motivate me, because it allows, the membership that I have gives me like 8 classes a month. And I have to use those 8 classes or I lose it. And I don't like to like waste my money. So I make sure I go. That's a little bit of my motivation. And then I also like work out in between whenever I have the energy. But the HIIT I enjoy doing HIIT training. Not a lot of people enjoy going to the gym or working out, but I like actually enjoy the HIIT training. And in those classes, you're kind of like, they give you stuff to do, and it's individualized in a sense, but even though it's a class setting and there's other people, everyone is on their own pace, which is what I like about it, because although the person next to me might be running 7-8 miles per hour on the treadmill, I don't have to. I can walk. I have the option to do what I want. But then it still, in a sense, motivates you when you see everybody else around you kind of pushing. So it pushes me, although I can't do 8 miles per hour on the treadmill, it still pushes me to go a little bit harder with my workouts. So that has been something that I recently started doing, like within the past 2 months.
And have you changed, like you mentioned, like your appetite is kind of suppressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But have you changed the kind of things you're eating?
I have, once again, because especially when I felt, it was like last week, the greasy foods makes me feel horrible. So I've been mindful of what I've been eating, staying away from like more, trying to stick to more lean meats, less, fatty meats and fatty meals, because it did make me feel sick so much so I couldn't go to work. Like I was so nauseous.
And do either of you cook?
Yeah. So I also did, like, every now and then I would like do what is it? Those like subscriptions like HelloFresh, Green Chef, like so I was doing Green Chef for a little while because I had like or one of them, I can't remember, but I was doing one of them because I had like a promotion. So I was doing that, but I just canceled it because my promotion ended. So now I'm going to possibly search for I gotta save money where I can. But I'm going to search probably for another one. I mean, I do grocery shop, but because I'm so busy and I work so many hours, it's so much easier to just have all of the ingredients that you need for the meal, the recipe, and you just cook it. I prefer that.
I did try HelloFresh for a while too, and I was like, I'm not paying for this. Only because, I can get on a whole different subject about HelloFresh.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I'm trying to meal prep more because I find that when I cook the food, I feel better. When other people cook the food is when I feel sick. So definitely trying to do more meal prepping, definitely trying to cook vegetables that I like. That's my thing. I can eat any kind of fruit, but me and vegetables don't get along. So I'm trying to figure out vegetables that I like and then cooking them in a way that tastes good to me. And yeah, that's my goal. And then also I've started walking. That's my thing. I feel like starting off small and moving is better than not moving at all. So I go outside, and for the 7 days in a week, maybe like 3 out of the 7 days of the week, I do go for a walk. I walk about between 1 to 2 miles, just try to get my body active. And then I know it's getting colder outside. So I bought myself one of those like desk treadmill things. So not like a full blown treadmill, but I bought a small one, and my goal is to have it downstairs in my living room so that when I'm watching my shows, if y'all know me, y'all know I love my little TV. But instead of just sitting down on the couch with some bonbons, standing up for 30 minutes and watching my show on the treadmill, or move my legs. So just trying to figure out ways to incorporate fitness into this lifestyle that I already enjoy, instead of trying to trying to deviate too much, because I think I've tried to deviate in the past, and that's when it wasn't sustainable. Yeah. So what I'm learning is I have to introduce these new things into my current lifestyle and what I currently find enjoyable in order for this to work.
Yeah, dance class idea too. Like I feel like I enjoy that too. So if you find any, let me know.
Mm-hmm. I think you two brought up some really important points. We're all in the healthcare space, right? And like I said, we spend all our time talking about to other people, telling them how to be healthier. And we really overlook, especially in our training, how to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And night shift, there's no research that says night shift is a good thing, right? But yet there we are. I worked night shift for 10 years straight, and it has impact on cognitive health. It can impact infertility. And certainly, it can impact your social life. And once you're up past midnight, your cortisol levels are elevated. Cortisol increases your appetite for those salty, fatty foods that everybody orders at night. Mm-hmm. And then, you said you're working all the time, right? Taking care of other people. And so now you have less for yourself. You're working, you're a director, you're driving, you're commuting. And the reality is when you get home, you don't want to go stand in the kitchen and cook a healthy meal. And so just like our patients and our viewers, we're challenged to find ways to maintain our health and lifestyle. And so, this option is certainly one that's been helping a lot of people. those meal plans, those meal delivery services, we've all bought them. And for some people, it is a tremendous help, especially if they have children or they want to just take out the guessing work. And so there's so many options out there now. And it's great that people are talking about it. We're talking about it. This is our second time talking about it because we talked about weight loss last year when we did like a kind of overall broad reaching, and we talked about some of these medications.
Yeah.
I'm curious, at that time we did that episode, were you weren't thinking about it at all, or did you go after? Okay.
At all. Like I was, I like that we did the episode, and I like that we touched base on it, but it wasn't something that I personally thought I would ever do.
But it did open the door. Because I wasn't thinking about it prior to our episode. And then it was more top of mind after our episode. So then when my primary care provider brought it up, I was like, I did do research on this, didn't I? So it was more, I was more willing to accept it. I don't know if I necessarily would have said yes if we wouldn't have done the research for our own episode.
Oh, that warms my heart. And I love that Geraldine said I would have never done this, because all of us can point to things that we'd say I would never do. And then, when the option presents itself, it's like, well, let me just think about it, right? Or let's talk about it. Let me do something.
I think what made me like more, lean more towards doing it is that I had one of my other like colleagues that did it. And, and I like was able to speak to somebody that worked in the field. So I had like more of a personal, experience with somebody that was familiar with it. And I trusted that because you see things online, you hear things, but I don't always trust, So I think that definitely helped propel me towards it.
There's also a little piece of me that was a little hesitant because, when I started to tell my friends that like, hey, I'm going to go down this journey, some of them were very like, oh, cool. Let me know how it goes. And there are other ones that are like, you're going to be on that Ozempic medication. It's the same, same kind of concept.
Yeah.
It's like diet, exercise doesn't work. It's like, it does for some, but it's not working for me. And I want to try something different. So I was worried about like the stigma of me being on this kind of medication, what that was going to look like. And, I don't care.
Your body, your health.
Exactly. Your body, your health. That is actually, that might be our subtitle for this.
Right.
Yeah. And we talked about that when we did that episode, right? Even when we talk about like bariatric surgery, right? People have tried, everything. Right. And just like this medication, we think it's a great kickstart, like you mentioned, Alisha, just for people to see like, oh, my body can do that. And that's sometimes all you need to see and experience, and it gets you going. You have the support of your provider, you have the support of the people who are supportive. You have us, right? And then you have your therapist is helping you through. We're talking about a physical thing, but yeah, the mental health is a huge component of that. And so the fact that you have that support there, you're providing a really great example of how to put together a support system. And yeah, it's not just about diet and exercise. If it was just about that, it wouldn't be $1 billion industry.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. And we're talking about like, it's not just about that, because we're in healthcare and we take care of other people, and the stress of that, the commuting, the long hours, being in grad school, working 50-50, coming to a new city. Like, it was a lot of changes, not to mention just age, right? We don't know really how much age had a factor. I had my own challenge in the last year when I'm not sure how much age was affecting it, and sleep and hydration, because I was doing all those things, but I still wasn't seeing the results I wanted. And yeah, there's other things outside of that besides the diet and exercise that also can impact it. New stress, new time zone, water, and sleep, And so, I'm just so grateful that you came on and shared this journey with us. We can't wait to come back, and it'll be like 6 months later. That's like, and so as we close out, what do you hope to see in the next 6 months?
For me, I would hope to, because by then I'll be going back to see my primary care doctor. One, I'm hoping that my A1C levels come down. That's for those that are non-medical. That is the diagnostic lab that's used to diagnose diabetes and prediabetes. So I'm hoping that my levels will come down to non-prediabetes levels, or at least go down from where it is now. And then I'm also hoping to lose weight, because that also plays a role in those numbers.
For me, same as Geraldine, I shared earlier that I was pre-diabetic, so hopeful that my A1C will improve. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'll share just so we get all stay on the same page. So my starting weight was 255, and
okay.
thus far on the 6 weeks that I've taken the medication, I'm down to 241. So I've lost 14 pounds.
Yay.
So I'm just interested to see, you know, how the rest. I don't have an actual goal per se. You know, I just want to feel better for myself. So whatever number that is, it's fine with me. But I'm happy the number's going down. So that's step one. So I must be doing something right. So continue to do what I'm doing and make this a lifestyle change.
And now, since you shared your numbers, I guess I could share mine. So my starting was 180. I've only been on it I just did my 4th injection. My goal, so I'm at 180 now, and my goal is 40 pounds. But to be honest, I am actually 30 to 40 pounds. But my goal is just to kind of see where things go.
And that's in the 6 or 12 months?
As far as like my goal number, I would say in 30, I would say 20 in the half of that in the 6 months.
And did you have to get blood work before you started?
So for me, I think most people do, but since I had blood work earlier in the year, and it was within 6 months of starting the medication, I only had to provide my lab results and they were able to start it. But I think usually they do need to do blood work just to make sure your kidney and liver is functioning okay, because these medications do or can affect your kidney and liver.
Same. I mean, this was prescribed by my primary care provider. So we had already done my routine labs for my physical that I was getting done. I was there for my annual physical. So the labs applied.
But there's no routine blood work every 3 months or 6 months?
No, but I do have a virtual visit with her in the 3rd month. So that'd be November for me. Yeah. So we're going to sit and just talk about how things are going.
And I just had a check-in with my provider just to talk about how things were going as well. But they don't have they usually kind of reach out to me when it's time to check in.
Wonderful. And how can we support you?
Do what you're already doing.
And any advice for anyone out there who's been on the fence about it?
I would say just talk to sorry, go ahead. I would say just talk to, like I said, I didn't think it would be something that I would do. Talk to your provider, talk to people that may have been on the medication. I think that's the best way to gain information and kind of develop that support system as well, because I feel like my colleagues that have been on it or have worked in that field, they are my support system. So I turn to them for questions. I turn to them for advice on things, and they give me their advice. So I think that is what I would recommend.
Same. Yeah. So I was gonna say, do your research. The internet can be a great place, but can also be a scary place. I think that if you're gonna go on the internet, kind of recognizing the websites that are gonna take you down a rabbit hole and scare you, versus those that are actually going to provide you with real education and real advice. So doing good research. And I think if you have access, talking to people who have been on the medication or your primary care provider, on this show, we love to encourage you chatting with your primary care provider, and maybe they could link you with people that they know that have been on the medication, or a weight loss clinic, or, that getting you connected to their network of people that they know, if they're not the subject matter expert in that particular topic. So research, and just do it.
Yeah. In addition to your primary care, there's a lot of nurse practitioners that have their own clinic. Some of them are described as weight loss clinics. Some of them are described as integrative, and some of them are described as wellness. All of those practices typically offer some kind of weight loss management. And so in addition to your primary care or functional medicine or integrative medicine provider, that's another place you can go seek some support. Well, ladies, again, we can't thank you enough for your transparency and your commitment and your dedication to yourself, actually, and to our colleagues, right? Because we all struggle with this. And so it can be very comforting and helpful to see people who look just like us, whether we look just like them because we're nurses, or women, or single, or Black or brown or daughters or neighbors, hopefully they can see something in our stories. And that's what we're here for, just to let everybody know that they're not alone.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, we'll see you all in 6 months, and we'll be wishing you the best during that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember, don't forget to take pictures.
Yes, we'll do.
Yeah. Remember, everyone, you can email us your questions or show ideas at tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe to our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us on every social media platform. Say hello in the comments when you get there. Remember, it helps people just like you looking for information like this see that this information is valuable, and so we'll show up higher in the search results. It's really important that you take the time to leave us a review on the Apple and Spotify podcast. That would really help us get a little bit more attention. You can find all the links that we've mentioned today in the description box, and all of our social media links will be there, as well as any resources that we brought up. At the time of this filming, we release new episodes weekly on Sundays at noon Eastern on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And we drop the audio on all your favorite podcast apps at 5 a.m. so our night shift friends can be the first to get something and not the last. And our day shifters have something to listen to before they start the day. And maybe they'll play it during huddle. Alisha and Geraldine, we thank you so much for joining us. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.